Good morning. Welcome. This is Vicki Binger, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for our February CAC2 all-member call. The title of our webinar today is Uniting to Bring Childhood Cancer Awareness to New Heights in 2016. Like always, we are operating in a system where everyone who's listening is muted, and if you would like to ask a question, you can use your control panel to raise your hand, and Trish will unmute you and let you ask your question. Or if you prefer, you can type your questions in on the control panel, and Trish will read them out loud to you. I think this is really important. Our presenters today, Neil Rourke, who's an international individual member from Canada, and Tony Stoddard, who's the executive director of Sophia's Fund, really would like to encourage you to be active participants today, and make sure that when you have questions or comments or experiences to share, you're willing to do that. I would also like to remind you that we're able to record this, and the recording, both of the slides and the presentation talk will be available to you on the CAC2 website if you miss out on something. I would also like to point out that you should be looking in your email immediately afterwards. I think that there's going to be a mail out that will have some information and some important links that they're going to be talking about. Speaking of email, I believe that you will be getting sometime in the next few days or a week an invitation to register for our annual meeting, which is going to be held at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, in June. And I want everybody to be very excited about this, both the speakers that we are going to have during the summit and the business meeting that we're going to have as well. So that's what's coming up on the schedule. If you guys would go ahead and forward the slide that you have so that we can begin with our CAC2 values, that would be great. So as we do every time we meet, we want to be reminded of the values that we all share as part of being part of CAC2. The first and foremost is that when we make decisions, we try to put we try to put the children and their families first in everything that we do, and we always try to remember to support each other in the community, to be accountable, to be cost-effective and inclusive and collaborative and action-oriented and flexible, and as this particular webinar is going to help us do, give voice to the community and amplify this in a coordinated fashion. So I will turn this over with thanks. Trish Krieger, like always, is our technologist, and she's from the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation, and we have Tony and Neil being our presenter, and I'm going to mute myself. So thanks very much.
Tony, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to participate in this awareness presentation. Just over 4 years ago, when my son Cole died from neuroblastoma cancer, I was heartbroken that there was so little gold displayed at that time during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Since then, each year, more and more gold is being displayed across the world in September. I think you all agree that greater awareness can at least help lead to increased funding and research. I hope that after this presentation, you'll all be fired up to help make this September something truly special. On this slide, I've listed 3 reasons why it's important to display gold in September. The first one, unless we make others aware, how can we expect them to care? By lighting gold across the world in September and throughout the year, we can begin to own that color for kids fighting cancer. Along with each gold lighting, a list of facts about childhood cancer must be provided to the lighting partner for maximum effect. This is one method we can use to get more individuals to fight with us. The breast cancer awareness movement, the LGBT rights movement, The environmental movement are just a few examples of causes that have successfully branded their movements with a particular color. The color that represents their cause has become ingrained in the consciousness of many across the world. When people see the color that symbolizes their cause, elected officials included, they know that there's passion and scores of individuals behind that color. In the case of our elected officials, that represents potential votes for them. The movements that have most successfully branded their causes with the color are more likely to have support from legislators when bills that benefit their cause come up for votes. The second reason, it empowers members of our community when they're successful in achieving a gold lighting or proclamation signing. Many individuals and advocates often feel that they're powerless in the fight to gain greater awareness, funding, and research for kids fighting cancer. And it really can be simple to get officials at bridges, buildings, and landmarks in their area to display gold in September. Once advocates get a taste of victory, they're often hungry to achieve more. The same goes for those who reach out to mayors and governors in their cities and states and are successful in getting them to declare September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And the third reason I have is the media is attracted to stories that they can present with visuals. When I first began my personal mission to help increase childhood cancer awareness, I reached out to every possible media outlet for help. They all denied my requests until I was able to convince the Prudential Building, the Sacred Bridge, and the PD guy in Boston to light gold in September. Once that was done, television, print, and radio media outlets began to contact me to do stories about what gold symbolized. And then all the stories they presented, many facts about childhood cancer were shared, helping to bring our cause to the masses. How to get structured to display gold in September. The simplest method I use to reach officials and structures to ask that they like gold in September is simply by searching for buildings, bridges, prominent landmarks through a Google search. Almost all prominent structures have a website with contact info. I usually call or email them, give a brief personal story about why I'm hoping that they like gold, explain that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and 99% of the time they agree. Some buildings do have an application that must be filled out, but many do not. Neil will discuss a more involved process to gain lighting partners later in this presentation. The same goes for reaching out to mayors and governors when asking that they declare September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Last year, we were able to persuade 36 governors to declare September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in their respective states. That was a drop-off from the 41 governors who declared the previous 2 years. This year, we're hoping we can get all 50 governors on board. The request must come from a resident of that state or city. To ensure a massive display of gold in, To ensure a massive display of gold in September, we must act now. Many structures that have the ability to light various colors operate on a first-come, first-served basis, and the best time to reach out to them is now to ensure that we will have a gold displayed in September, especially if we want it on a certain date, such as September 1st. We are competing with other causes and events, and the dates do fill out quickly. And on this slide, you can see some of the other causes that do recognize during the month of September. And also, there are other causes and events that try to book up September. So if we want to get September in a particular date, we really need to reach out to them now. It's great to have many iconic buildings, bridges, and landmarks like gold in September, but displays of gold don't have to all be grand shows. All awareness adds up. It can be as simple as asking people to put a gold light bulb on their porch, a sign in their front yard, a ribbon around a tree, or even gold nail polish. And just as it can be simple to reach out to the largest structures asking for gold, it's just as easy to go to your local schools, libraries, town halls, small businesses, and ask that they like display gold also. At times, I even provide gold holiday ornaments so that they can use them to decorate their buildings. If it's a small, like I said, a small library or schools or a small business. This slide just shows a few of the hundreds of places that lit gold last year. The center picture is Fenway Park. It was probably one of the largest childhood cancer awareness events in the history of childhood cancer awareness. It was an amazing day. I've been assured by the president of the Red Sox that they were going to do it again, and it's very possible that every team in Major League Baseball might be doing something similarly this year. Just over 3 years ago, when I began my personal mission to help increase childhood cancer awareness by having gold displayed in as many places as possible, it was difficult to find gold displayed anywhere. Once we began to have success in turning various structures gold, starting in Boston, it quickly caught fire and spread across the country and throughout the world. This past September, I could not keep up with the number of messages I received telling me of another building, bridge, or landmark that was going gold for our kids. Not only were places going gold in the United States, but also Canada, Ireland, Switzerland, England, Greece, Australia. And I even received a message that the Merua Mall office tower in Namibia, Africa, was lighting gold in September for our kids. Going gold is something a great majority of our community desires to see happen. There's a true passion to see September become as gold as October is pink. When a prominent landmark goes gold, our community is elated. And when a landmark such as the White House or Empire State Building declines to go gold, our community becomes furious. Even in those circumstances, we've been able to turn a negative into a positive. The White House declining to light gold led to one of the most poignant events during the annual Cure Fest event in D.C., which we call the Night of the Golden Lights. As I told officials at the White House, if you won't light it gold, we'll light it gold ourselves. For the past 2 years, approximately 1,000 advocates gathered at the White House gates, and that's exactly what we did. Once again, this gives our community members empowerment over a seemingly impossible situation. As far as the Empire State Building declining to light gold last year, in previous years, we turned that negative into a massive burst of media attention in one of the largest media outlets in the world. That media attention not only reached millions of viewers, alerting them of the facts about childhood cancer, but it also led numerous officials at landmarks in New York and New Jersey to go gold for our kids. Just another example of making lemonade when life gives you lemons. A display of gold not only helps to bring greater awareness and attention to childhood cancer and the lack of necessary funding to fight it, but it also helps to heal the hearts of those who have lost children to this monster. One of the biggest fears of parents like myself is that our children will be forgotten. Each gold light tells us that they are indeed remembered. Neil Rourke will now talk about some additional tips on how best to gain more childhood cancer awareness lightings. Thank you all again.
Thanks, Tony. Great job. Tony is our PowerPoint expert in the pair of both of us. We've discovered many things about each other, similarities as bereaved parents, and Tony's actually 4 days older than I am, so that's one of the reasons he went first. So if we have any questions at this time, we can fire away with that. Thanks, Trish, for posting that to the audience. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes on the additional hints, and feel free to post a question, interrupt me, and we'll gladly fit your question in into wherever it's most appropriate. So I'm just going to run through a couple of points that I found over the last couple of years. I find it useful, in addition to Google, if you want more in-depth information, to use Wikipedia as a source of details for things like past or present ownership of buildings, contact information, current tenants, who's on the board of directors. I've come up with some really interesting connections between, someone on a board at a large hospital, Children's Cancer Hospital, who also has ownership in a potential landmark. So that's something that I've done. quite a bit in the past. I've always find that time spent researching your prospective landmarks is time really well spent. Many times I've found one LED-equipped building only to do a bit more research to find that they actually have a chain or 3 or 4 others that some of which are LED equipped. Prime example of that was we had some success in Charlotte, North Carolina last year, and we got one building, I believe, Tony, it was the Duke Energy Center.
Right.
And the interesting thing, though, is that the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, the CRVA, actually looks after not only things that go on at the Duke Energy Center, but also at the NASCAR Hall of Fame and 2 other places. So a little bit of investigative work before making an initial contact has improved outcomes for me in past. As far as the job titles that I find I try and target, most often they're people with titles such as operations manager, building general manager, and also human resources staff are very helpful. When asking, I use the phrase tribute lighting application form when I deal with larger structures, and you know, you can use a more generic but rather specific phrase, you know, when you're dealing with, say, a city hall in a town of 20,000, like what I do with the City of Owen Sound. Most often it seems best that if forms are filled out by a registered 501c organization. And just like any business approach, I would never consider closing a deal unless I had first asked for referrals, and it has paid dividends last year, because the general managers or the operations managers, they're just like us. They go to trades seminars and attend meetings, and they know who else, who their peers are. Another thing that is very helpful, as Tony mentioned, we want more media this year than in past, and through our big book of care, it became very apparent in Canada last year how important it is that a minimum a week ahead, media is aware of the specific times of day and dates that a facility, landmark, or a structure will be lit, so that they can schedule it into their plans for taping segments. So there's usually 2 options. All of what I'm saying will be on a slide, and we just wanted you to look at the wonderful activities from Times Square while I talk here. But the 2 times of day settings that most of building lightings run with are dusk till dawn, i.e. a photocell type of operation, or something that is programmably written in through a timing program within their lighting system. So as I said, that's an important detail, and again, like any business meeting, we always try and be respectful of staff's time when we're approaching them through business hours. It's just common courtesy. Phone calls, I find a lot of the time, are the quickest way to get information, like initial information, and often I'll leave a contact email as a reply option for people. So we've even had some people that I've helped in the last couple of years, and they were, you know, kind of had some fears about contacting buildings and that sort of thing. So something that actually worked on a number of occasions was that people would identify who it was they needed to talk to, but they'd leave them a message so that the person could call them back at their convenience, and that way, you know, they have a little script rehearsed or something like that. As Tony mentioned, there's main colors on 2 scales internationally that we refer to the International Gold Tribute Color, and when we're dealing with older, say like gel applications, places that maybe don't have the most up-to-date form of lighting. There's a red, green, blue scale that's referred to. They call it the RGB scale. Those numbers you'll receive them after the webinar. And the more common, because I go after the low-hanging fruit, I virtually always just try and target LED-equipped facilities, just because it's basically just the click of a computer, your mouse on the computer to highlight a different color to be set at a specific time. So it's relatively simple for them, and there are so many opportunities that you'll see on the spreadsheet that I've compiled that you'll receive from Trish after. I believe globally I have listed over 450 different locations that many of which, bolded and highlighted, have been vetted out and have participated in tribute lightings in the past. Tony mentioned Major League Baseball, so I had in past been in contact with Major League Soccer. They are still at this point unable to, I'm assuming, give us any advanced notice on the level of activity that they plan within the Major League Soccer this year. However, I was told last year that they intend to maintain their relationships at the very least at the current level, and I was extremely impressed by Jan Greenberg's attitude in really wanting to go the extra mile to make sure that they get it right, take baby steps, and build something that's long-term sustainable. So it was interesting on the slide previous, Tony, you don't have to change, but the Fenway Stadium Park, the name John Hancock is over top of the center field scoreboard. Ironically, that John Hancock is in with Manulife right now. Manulife doesn't have it in their sort of philanthropic current policies to support very many health issues. They have other focuses, and that's great because what we do isn't for everybody. But it is interesting that my partner in getting the Toronto Stock Exchange opening for childhood cancer awareness last year is an employee of Manulife. So we did enjoy that thought and hope to work this year to grow on that.
Tony,
So,
Neil, this is Vicki. I think that we've noticed that some folks have their hands up or have been submitting questions. If this is a good time to pause, maybe Trish can open up the lines or repeat the questions and see what you and Tony have to say about.
sure, that'd be great.
Thanks so much, both Neil and Tony. I'm going to go first to Lori. Lori, I'm going to open your mic. If you could ask your question, Lori Earl.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. My question was just whether we're focusing on a certain date in September. Does it have to be September 1st for the greatest impact?
Any date would be fantastic in September, but I think Neil could explain a little more. We have something special that we're trying to do on September 1st, if you want to mention that, Neil.
Yeah, I was going to mention that sort of a little closer to the closing, but to answer your question, Lori, September 1st, any month-long campaign, to be able to get it kicked off with a coordinated representation in as many major centers as possible is something that we're going to hope to work and coordinate through myself and Childhood Cancer International. Now, unfortunately, this webinar is taking place about 2.5 weeks in advance of what CCI calls their mid-year executive meeting. So there are some things that I can say, some things I can't say, but I would not ever want to tell someone that they can't, help keep the memory of their child alive on a specific date in September. I'm looking for, balanced portfolio, type of thought. So what we're hoping to do through a map that I'm going to discuss shortly is it will give everyone the opportunity to submit their plans or where they would like to try and get new lighting in addition to the existing lighting of past years. And that will enable us to identify internationally where we have lighting projected to be on September 1st, and then other dates throughout the month. It's a planning commitment map that you'll also receive the link to from Trish after the webinar. And I don't know if it's the greatest idea in the world. I'm sure it can be improved upon, but there's been a lot of work go into it, and we just have to try and find some sort of place or method that we can identify, because, for example, we had an unfortunate computer issue, and a lot of email contacts for proclamations have been difficult to retrieve. So, just all sorts of things that could happen, but we're trying to, do a better job of backing systems up and that sort of thing. So, in answer to your question, a little later on, closer to the end, I will explain how what CCI is considering doing, and I strongly suspect it will happen, but at this particular time I cannot say for sure how I'm going to close this presentation. It will actually take place. So I hope that answered your question. So did we have another hand or question, Trish?
So if not, if Trish doesn't chime in, then Neil, just go ahead with your next slide.
Okay. So Tony, if you would be so kind as to advance by one slide.
Would you like to go to the maps?
Yes, please. Yes. And the slide that Tony just advanced through was basically the high points or the points that you can refer back to as far as different aspects of technical information and thoughts and tips that have worked well for myself and the groups of people that I've helped. So I had hoped that we would have, I'll take full blame for this, would have been able to get this interactive map during the presentation, but it's the way it is right now. So what this map is that we have, it's called Landmark Lightings and Proclamations Planning Map. And as I said, Trish will get it out to you shortly after. There are explanations as to how to automatically upload, because it's crowdsourced, and it's extremely easy to do. You just go to an additions drop down bar in the legend, and then it will be give you an option for simple addition, and you just are you required to put your email address in so that we can track and get back to you. You can make your initial input. However, any changes have to run through admin. So my email address, once you get to the point where you want to say, okay, I'm confirmed for such and such a date, then you'll just have to send me a quick email, and then I will automatically make the change on the map. I find for the number of times I open and close the map in over the course of a year, it's most easy if I just keep it on my favorites toolbar. And so, Tony, will you just go back to the pictures of the Dunbrody Tall Ship and that just a couple of slides back, if you wouldn't mind, for a minute?
Sure.
And while Tony's doing that, I can talk about that the Child for Child campaign, which was wildly successful, I think, beyond a lot of people's anticipation. It's, among other things, it has helped garner about a 90,000 person database, and we're planning, but not 100% certain, that the Child for Child campaign people will send out a brief questionnaire if we feel we need more help identifying the local and regional places that people notice, on their drive to work and that sort of thing. And then we can pick through those, through the groups of you who are most interested in incorporating lighting, maybe at an increased level this year within your organization, or sharing the information with somebody else. As I said, CCI will determine their commitment level to the 2016 Light Up the World Gold campaign during the March 10th to 14th meeting in Asia area, Vietnam specifically. And so, if you would review the map within the next couple of days, if not sooner, if you have any issues, please don't hesitate to call me. It's something that's relatively quick, but I will openly admit last year I handed people a lot of fish, and I fully realized that this year, if we're going to see new unparalleled levels of gold in September, that Tony and I need to teach people to fish and duplicate what we do. And that's why Vicki asked us to present this seminar, because Tony and I have very different types of approaches. I really don't think that I have the emotional fortitude to put my heart out the way Tony does. I totally tip my hat. So Vicki recognized that there are lots of people in the world that have that ability to work like Tony does, and then there are also people who like to work from a business type of approach. Not that Tony's isn't business-like, but more in-depth detail, doing a little in-depth background work just to see what you can come up with. So for right now, Tony, I think that's all I have for slides, other than thank you for including Corfu, Greece in the top left on that screen. We will be checking to make sure they and some of my new friends in the Ukraine are going to be doing something. So that's why we appreciate being invited to today, and if anybody has any questions, we'll have Trish either open up mics, or Vicki can ask me a question if nobody asks just right away, because I'm sure she's got something she'd like to say.
Hey, Neil, thank you. Tony, thank you so much. It's Trish. We do have several questions and ideas or observations. The first question comes from Richard Plotkin. He was curious, do you know what the other causes in September? Do any of them use gold as their signature color?
Not to my knowledge. Tony, to your knowledge, do they?
I've never seen gold for any other cause.
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that somewhere through either CCI there was some investigation done into registering the specific color, but I am not really up to speed on what took place or anything like that. But to answer Richard's question succinctly, to our knowledge, no other causes use 1, 2, 4, 5 U or even close to our gold color in September.
Terrific, thank you. Our next question comes from Beth Ann Baber. She would like to know, Tony, you've been extremely successful. Can we leverage the materials such as sample letters to buildings, media, sample proclamations, et cetera, that you've already developed? Can CAC2 set up a library of these materials?
Absolutely. I'm actually in the process of gathering those up right now. I also had a computer issue and lost a lot of my information. But slowly but surely I'm getting all that information back, and I would definitely provide that.
To follow up to Beth Ann's question, which is really important, I think that one of the things, if Tony and Neil are willing to share their own success tools, that having a toolkit that they start, and that if other, certainly this is not a two-man show. This is something that other people within CAC2 and outside of CAC2 have had luck with, but to build those toolkits with sample letters and sample wording on proclamations and so forth would be a very important thing, and something that I was hoping would be an outcome if people were interested. So thank you for agreeing to that, and we will figure out a way to get those things available for use to everybody that would like to be involved. And the reason that I pushed to make this and Tony and Neil agreed to make this our February call is because while it seems like September is far away from us, that those people are in ice and snow, and we've got to go through spring and summer before we get to the 1st of September. Time goes by really fast, and the quicker we are off the mark to making contacts and developing relationships and getting schedules locked in, I believe the better. Would you say that's true, Neil, Tony?
Absolutely. I had an unfortunate venue lighting loss last year in Philadelphia with the One Liberty. We had things on the go between the actual owner of Bill Hirschfield, I believe his name is. Anyways, he flipped me to his building manager, and one thing led to another. The manager went on holidays, and next thing you know, the hunger, I believe it was a hunger relief group, ended up with a September 1st date. So the list that is in the Excel sheet that you will all receive at the end of the meeting from Trish will detail, I believe there's probably in the United States alone probably 60 to 70 new opportunities that we didn't have, that either Tony didn't receive the information or I didn't receive the information last year.
And I begin reaching out to places January 2nd. Like I said, there are a lot of other causes that recognize their cause in September. So if we want the dates, we need to act fast. And the other reason is when I do post a success, when I get a confirmation that a place is going to light gold, it creates a snowball effect. When I post it on social media, people become excited and they want to know how to get things done in their cities and states.
Many people may know too as well, like say you're wanting to deal with getting a gold ribbon in a major print media, like a catalog for Sears. They actually begin making their decisions the year before, and it comes through their actual media and promotions companies is what I've discovered and found out. So some things you're planting seeds for 2017 by telling them in 2016 to watch what goes on in September, because as Tony says, we need to start early on in some types of awareness avenues, but definitely we have to get moving and making initial contacts shortly.
Great, thank you, gentlemen. A couple of our questions or remarks really did relate back to asking for all of your notes and photos and a toolkit, so we do appreciate that. Also, Richard Plotkin earlier in the call did suggest maybe we start after Labor Day. That was for Neil, I think, to explain some of the pieces. Unfortunately, Richard does not have access to a microphone. Um, but I'm going to share this because he wrote it to me. He said, we will seek to have Donald Trump light up thousands of properties in this year. So look for that. It would be a good year for him to do it, I suspect, Richard, so I appreciate that. Finally, another question from Beth Ann Baber. Is there a list of what states, cities have declared Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and who in those cities and states led that charge so that we avoid duplication?
Yes, I'd have to dig through to get the list of states that declared last year, but that's something I could easily provide.
You'll find on the map that I have set up, it is there's in the legend. You can also register a proclamation. So as Tony is able to get the information, I can put on the United States map at the state capital levels who is undertaking that. So yeah, because duplication absolutely kills me. We've got limited time, volunteers, and to work smarter and harder is the only way we're going to see more gold in September than pink in October.
Great. I'm looking through Kyle Matthews' questions. I believe that you've answered 2 of them so far. But the third question is, if a building can't go gold for the entire month of September due to other commitments, what days or dates would you recommend us asking for in September? Let's coordinate so that we have one building in Tampa asking us about our preference for a specific date if we can't do it the month.
Typically, I ask for September 1st. As Neil said, it's great to start off Childhood Cancer Awareness Month with a huge bang. I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think the United States recognizes Childhood Cancer Awareness Day on September 12th or 13th. That's another date that I shoot for. And I know that, there are some days that are close to people's hearts, whether they lost a child on that date in September.
I would add possibly, so we have Cure Fest on the weekend of September 17th and 18th with the Congressional Caucus the Friday before that on the 16th, so that weekend is probably another, if you have to be limited beyond the 1st of September or the dates that Tony just mentioned, then that would probably be a place that people who can't make it to D.C. Might appreciate some gold coverage at that point as well.
And last year we were able to, through tracking, say for example, what was going on in Seattle, we were able to coordinate a big splash on a specific night because there were some nights taken, but we managed to get the PacSci Pacific Science Center Arches and the Great Wheel. They all wanted to do something on the same night, so we just kind of liaised with all of them to see what date worked best. So if we're aware of what's going on in a certain region, then we can build momentum. If it's not for nationally, at the state level, so that. And the main thing is, as long as we know what's going on, then we can drive media to these specific events.
Thank you very much. Lori Earl has another question. Lori, go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't have a question. It was just the I think that yellow is used for another group is all I had commented on, but I did have I just sent you an email, Tony, anyway, because I have some questions about, I'm right here in the Boston area too, and I didn't know if Gillette had gone gold already, but I'll talk to you about that privately.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. I believe that some of the ownership in Gillette are on the board of Dana-Farber.
Okay.
Farber, sorry. There is a link there, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I have a great connection through the fan club for the Revolution team. It's a pretty big fan club, so.
Okay, so we should.
We could approach it that way.
Yeah, and we'll stay in contact with as things progress with Major League Soccer, because they put a certain amount of guidance and prepackaged programming for the entire team, but they're really aware of what goes on at the regional levels, and they give their teams that a certain level of latitude to tailor what they're doing to their specific community. So it's really well thought of, whereas some other organizations will just try and force feed an entire program, and it sometimes isn't as well supported.
So with regard to getting coordinated state plans, I know that I had gotten some outreach from some of the CAC2 members down here in Texas where I live, and that there was some conversation about getting together and having some coordinated action regionally. And I think that that's a fabulous idea. Just like Lori said, here I am in Boston and I've got these connections. So part of what we do in CAC2, we can't necessarily all coordinate everything exactly every time, but if you know members and folks in your locality, in your regional area, in your state, and you want to reach out with them and kind of do that coordination, both on the proclamation side and on the lighting side, I think that would work quite nicely, and I'm sure that Tony and Neil would be happy to provide those guidances as well. So reach out and figure out who your neighbors are and work with them, and oftentimes a parallel ask or a coordinated ask works even better than just one person saying, would you do this?
And also those, the players of who has done things in past is going to be in the next few days automatically getting uploaded as they respond back to me. Late last night, Jess Hester was back in touch with me saying that they're committing to going with the Selena Memorial again, and the Harbor Bridge again, and one other, the water fountains in the Corpus Christi Park. So she's committed to them, so you'll find those listed on the map. We've got some PAC-SCI and some other things going on already up in the Seattle area and other areas around the country, so you'll see there are emails of people so that people can start going and talking with other people in the region.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much. I don't see any additional questions right now, but as you said, Neil and Tony, we will have a follow-up email to add some reference point to the discussion. I did just get another question, though. Should we attempt to trademark gold with gold ribbon or something like that? For example, can another charity use pink as a ribbon?
Well, technically, anybody could try and do anything they want, but it's going to do very little to unite our cause.
Right. I think gold belongs to the children, and every organization should be able to use it. There is a group called Gold in September that trademarked a special symbol, a G9 symbol, but they didn't trademark the color gold or the gold ribbon.
Personally, I'm totally aware of how we need to keep our children's memories alive, and even if someone were to not go through all the cost of redesigning a logo, consider putting a gold ribbon on it. We can supply you with 1, 2, 4, 5 stock color ribbons if you don't have access to them somewhere else. But it's just like a proud member of the global movement of childhood cancer awareness. It's just put a ribbon on your page if you feel that that's a simple way that you could show that smaller organizations are part of something worldwide.
Neil, thank you. We are getting some endorsements of exactly that idea over the questions. But I do have another from Trudy. Her question is, what types of obstacles have you encountered?
Tony? Do you want to go first?
Well, some of the bigger landmarks, like I mentioned earlier, the White House, they grandfathered in, I believe it was red for AIDS awareness and pink for breast cancer, and they seem pretty locked in on that. I think like I explained, we overcame that by gathering at the White House, and I think it's even more powerful when you have people gathering together with the display of gold. The only other obstacle that I've come across is some buildings that aren't equipped to light easily through LED lights. They have to use what are called gel caps that are fairly expensive. An example is the Seattle Space Needle, the Hoover Dam. I reached out to them. They were glad to light gold, but it would have cost me $5,000 to have it happen. So those are two of the obstacles that come to mind right away.
Those are really the main two, recognizing that tribute lighting is just not set up for everyone, but the popularity of LED lighting for facilities is exploding. So, even if someone says, no, we're not equipped this year, they may very well be in time for 2017.
Great. Thank you so much. Now from Adam White, many of us share feelings about ACS, but has anyone been successful in forcing their hand to get them to be more of a part of the gold movement?
Like I said, I go for low-hanging fruit, but there are ongoing, efforts that I really can't discuss in any great detail. I know as far as my Canadian Cancer Society, we are making inroads with them on different efforts and projects. I did not, to my knowledge, get any international childhood cancer coverage from them, but we were able to get, say, with Canadian Blood Services, other Canadian national research associations, cancer research associations, and that sort of thing. So that's, I guess, what I have as far as thoughts go with that.
Okay, Peter Brown has a question. Peter, I'm going to unmute your phone. Go right ahead.
Hey, thanks. Just a follow-up to the ACSP. So they've been going through a bunch of internal turmoil just in general, and it's not clear what their position is actually going to be as it relates to kids. I know a number of us have historically over the years been all over them and pressured them for more clarity, more involvement, more of a number of different things, and I'm just not sure that organization is ready at this point to do that. So I think from a planning perspective, we should be planning around that. It doesn't mean we shouldn't. I know a number of individuals in the childhood cancer advocacy space have actually tried to reach out and had conversations. I'm not sure how those have turned out either. So I think from an overall standpoint, Tony and Neil, you guys have done a great job at sort of the calls to action, getting us focused, getting us organized, and I think we should just put our heads down to, figure out how to divide and conquer here and just elevate the message to everybody.
Totally agree, Peter. I was hoping that you would be someone who would chime in on this thought. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And I appreciated hearing the Boston accent too, so.
Oh, my God.
Snowball. Oh, any more Peter with shorts and snow pictures out there. We're really enjoying them in Canada, only seeing that little amount of snow.
I'm almost afraid to mute Peter. You all are reminiscing. So. I don't see any additional questions at this time. I certainly want to thank both you and Neil from my perspective. I'll turn it over to Vicki to close us out.
Thank you all for giving up your time today to listen to Tony and Neil, and really be on the lookout for their email that will have the concrete things that they talked about, and we will work through them, and with anyone else who has input on putting together a toolbox and making that available to our members. I also want to remind you to look for an email that will come from my president at cac2.org email address soon. giving you the opportunity to register for the 2016 CAC2 Summit and annual meeting scheduled. There will be an all-day meeting on Wednesday, June 22nd, and a half-day the following Thursday on the 23rd. So I would recommend traveling in on Tuesday the 21st and traveling back out on the afternoon evening of the 23rd. So meeting it's going to be hosted at CHOP in the Colcat Translational Research Center. Our meeting team got us a very good block of rooms with a very good rate at the Sheraton Philadelphia University City Hotel, and all that will be coming into your inboxes sooner rather than later. And thank you guys, and let's just keep working together. Start now and push hard through the summer so that on September 1st we will have a noticeable improvement. My feeling is that if everybody in CAC2, when we're now up, between 85 and 90 organizations and another 35 to 40 individuals, that if each person or organization could just add one more building, one more proclamation, one more lighting, that would be significant, and if we could do more, then that would be even better. Thanks very much, and I'll be talking to you pretty soon.